they finally decided to announce the date of their developer update live stream, where they're going to be talking about, I guess, a bunch of things about Diablo 4, including like endgame systems and beta learnings and everything else like that. So they have Diablo 4 inside the game into the end game. Join the Diablo 4 developer team. They pull back the curtain onto the experiences waiting you in end game. Welcome Wanderer. Of course, our new inside the game video series. We'll sit down with our resident Diablo 4 experts, members of the development team, to walk you through elements of the game. Our second video in the series, End of the Endgame, is an exploration of many endgame systems players can continue to grow their character's legend through once the main quest has been completed. Join Associate Game Director Joseph Pipiora, Game Director Joe Shelley, Lead Producer Kaylee Calder, Game Producer Ash Sweetring. Yo, what a badass last name, Sweetring. Okay, so anyways, they're going to be talking about capstone stuff, Nightmare Dungeon, Paragon Boards, a Codex of Power, overworld experiences, and the Field of Hatred. So I wonder if they are going to be talking about anything new, or are they only going to be talking about stuff that we already knew via developer updates and announcements of that original closed endgame beta that I didn't get to play. Definitely not salty about it. Enjoy this video and hunger for more. Stay tuned. Our next inside the game developer video will focus on class customization and will be released in later April. Keep an eye out on our news sites or our official Diablo YouTube channel for more details over here. Let's jump right into it. I actually have the video already pulled up. Look how prepared I am today, Mr. Streamer. Wow, bro, look at these downvotes. Holy. We're not going to pay attention to that. We're just going to watch the contents of the video and we're going to see what they have to say over here.
We're really excited about getting this game into players' hands and letting them experience this massive world.
A main cornerstone of D4 is play your way. As a player continues to advance through the story and into the endgame, they'll unlock a ton of brand new activities that provide meaningful progression, no matter their playstyle.
Players will be able to keep progressing in the narrative of the game. Alongside that, the whole team has worked on crafting a variety of different experiences players can pursue.
We're going to have an entire world of Sanctuary for our players to offer. There's going to never be an absence of something to do.
After the player has finished the campaign, there's a lot more game to go and participate in. They gain access to a special, what we call capstone dungeon that they have to complete. Once they're able to finish this capstone dungeon, they're going to gain access to the first world tier.
As you complete the world tier, it will open up the opportunity for you to go into your next world tier. That involves unlocking powerful loot, new items, and more advantages.
Oh, what they call them?
That involves unlocking.
It's now called Adventurer, Veteran, Nightmare, and Torment difficulty. So there's 4 world difficulties. There's no more. So it's, yeah, like 4 of them, right? 4 total difficulties. At least that's what they're showcasing right now. And I'm guessing it's just kind of like what we saw in beta, right? You get more loot and more experience, more gold, and who knows, more drops or something. Why aren't they showing us like what it gets? Why they're locked?
Unlocking powerful loot, new items, and more advantages for your player to have a better opportunity at end game.
Whether you're a fan of dungeons, PvP, or just roaming around the world, there's a way to continue your Diablo adventure long after hitting max level.
Okay.
As your character continues to grow in power, you'll start with the skill tree and expand out into the Paragon system.
A lot of the choices the players make are grounded on skills themselves and the fantasies associated with those skills. The Paragon Board is a place where we're allowed to have a lot more depth.
Okay, so this is the Paragon Board. We talked about this before a little bit, and I talked about it in my other video. But essentially, I think there's going to be like, what, 9 boards or something that they said. You get like 4 Paragon points per level up to level 100. And then, yeah, you basically allocate your points and there's different types of nodes. We can just go over it real quick. I'll kind of like explain what it is, or at least what we know so far. Yeah, so basically there is going to be different tiles, right? And different tiles grant different bonuses. There's like normal, magic, rare, and legendary tiles. This is how it works, right? So you'll have a starting point and you could rotate these tiles. Almost think of it like, you ever played Wolcen, the Wolcen passive tree, where you rotate the different rings and get them to mesh up. So anyways, there's basically different nodes. So like all these little ones, these are just common ones. These will give you like basic +5 main stat stuff. And then you got your magic nodes, what we saw like have the resistances, and there's rare nodes, which are a little more meaningful. Then there's legendary nodes, which I think it's like 1 per tile that are really, really strong. And then you also have glyphs, and glyphs is almost like a radius jewel from Path of Exile, where you socket the glyph in and then highlights an area, and it'll amplify the bonuses within that zone, right? So it's like glyph sockets right here. And you can see some of the glyphs right here, right? Small radius, medium radius, large radius. And it said, okay, it takes the main stat in the area, and then it gives you more overpower damage. Grants 4 strength for each willpower, purchased within the range. And then you have a bunch of these boards, right? Because this is where your Paragon points go into. That's like what it'll end up looking like. So you have your starting area, right? You do your pathing, you go to the rare nodes, magic nodes, legendary nodes that you want, and then you pair it up with a different board that you can rotate around. Same thing on that board also. Then you have your threshold jewels, right? So that's what you're seeing right here. You're seeing like threshold amplifiers on these nodes that are allocated over here. Yeah, you could like respec it from what we know. So that's what they're explaining in this video. It's basically the Paragon system. This is like your end game system that you use to customize your character a little bit more and kind of differentiate yourself from other players. And then you also have the socketable glyphs that will give you a variety of powers, right? So your pathing might not mimic someone else's pathing because you're going to path through an assortment of normal magic. Rare tiles, well, I think you would probably pretty much always want to get the rare tiles. And then obviously legendary tiles. Legendary tiles, from what we've seen so far, there's not that much info on it. The legendary tiles almost look like they're a little bit less powerful than like a legendary aspect that you find on a piece of gear, right? So you have your legendary aspects, right? And you have your different tiers of legendaries. You got your ancestral, you got your sacred, you got your unique stuff, but it seems like the legendary powers from what we've seen so far on the Paragon board are a little bit lower than the power level of a legendary aspect that you have on your gear. Every Paragon board will look the same. I think, I'm not sure. I know like every single class has a bunch of different boards. That's all I know. Okay, let's go back into the video though. So that's basically what the Paragon board is, right? So you see there's common, there's rare, right? There's magic tiles, legendary tiles, and then you can see the sockets there. The sockets are essentially a threshold jewel from PoE that you socket something in there. And I guess, I don't even know how you get them, right? But you see there's a bunch of glyphs. No idea where these glyphs come from. They just drop from somewhere, you acquire them from somewhere, you put them in the area, and then it boosts stuff up in a radius. And then these are exit points that you basically rotate other tiles and connect it to your tile that you already made, and then you expand in that tile also.
More customization, many more options as you go.
It actually is +5 main stat though. Bro, I thought, well, what is the refund cost on these things? Holy shit. Bro, look at that, 53,000 gold per individual point respec cost. I don't know how like easy it is to get gold late game, or what the late game gold modifiers are. But that's pretty expensive from what we saw during the beta, right? And we do know gold is tradable. The funniest thing during the beta, there was little websites spamming, right? I guess they already made bots for Diablo 4. They were spamming in the global era, advertising gold selling. And then also I saw on JSP, people were already selling gold for JSP coins. It seems like gold is going to be a highly sought after commodity for Diablo 4. No way. Yeah, no, 100%. During the beta, there was gold advertising bots, and you could buy gold from gold selling websites, RMT websites already during the beta, 100%. It was like pretty easy to get gold though. I don't know how farming gold is going to be late game during the beta, right? You just pick a dungeon with a good layout and you just ran it, and you can make a couple 100,000 gold an hour at low level. The 53,000 gold recost might not be actually huge based off how much gold you acquire in late game.
You can rotate the board, so you can choose a different path if you're like, I want to do more strength-based things, right? I want these particular boons or glyphs. You can chart your path through it, and they're really a way for you to keep expanding your character and making.
Wait, so the magic node legitimately had 2 more strength than the common node, and then yeah, so it's like +5 main stat and then +7 main stat.
Uniquely yours.
Similar to the Paragon boards is the Codex of Power. It's an in-game system that holds the aspects related to the character. You are able to complete a dungeon, and they will have a chance to drop an aspect that you can pick up.
Okay. What this allows players to do is take items they're finding in the world and make them more powerful, turn them into legendary items.
It's really special to discover what kind of playstyle really means the most to you.
Nightmare dungeons. Okay, so We know a little bit about Nightmare Dungeons. Nightmare Dungeons is supposed to be one of the main endgame systems, right? And it's kind of like, the best way to describe it is like a Mythic Plus style map from Path of Exile, like where you add affixes and stuff like that. There's been a bunch of data mining stuff that was done that showed like potential affixes and stuff. I don't really want to go over that because it's not really set in stone, but we do have like a good idea of what some of the affixes might be.
Every part of Sanctuary is fulfilling and satisfying. Dungeons in particular are really close to my heart. Nightmare Dungeons are going to give the players the opportunity to experience a dungeon that they might have already experienced in their past playthroughs. They'll enter the dungeon with a found sigil that alters the playstyle and the intensity of the dungeon.
They're more difficult and they have additional objectives, and then they also have affixes, which add a degree of difficulty for you and your group to work through.
Okay.
One of my favorite affixes that you can find in Nightmare Dungeons is actually called Hellgate. Occasionally, these portals will open up throughout the area that will just pour out different monsters that aren't native to that region for you to also be dealing with while you're trying to handle everything else inside the dungeon.
It's Breach!
There's over 120 dungeons to play through and find in Diablo 4, and any one of them can
like
become a
Path
Nightmare
of Exile
dungeon
thing.
by finding a Nightmare sigil and then using it to activate the Nightmare version of that dungeon space.
Everything's a little darker, everything's more difficult. It's going to add a little bit of a twist of flavor on your particular dungeon.
Okay, so we did learn one new thing from that little snippet, and that is there's going to be like a little breach affix in the dungeon. Other than that, they didn't really go too much. They didn't go into too much detail regarding like other affixes, like how like the Nightmare Dungeons evolve over time. They didn't go over like all the difficulty stuff, like how high they go, how many affixes you get on your map. They didn't talk about like bosses or anything in the Nightmare Dungeons either. The same bosses, same objectives, or is there going to be new bosses a little bit more powerful? So
Targeted activities in Diablo 4 that suit what you're feeling in the mood for.
The Forces of Hell are starting to have more influence in certain parts of Sanctuary in the vast interconnected overworld of the experience. And as the players are going into Helltide areas, they're going to find even more powerful monsters. And by killing them, they'll be able to gain these special
Helltide in the overworld, this is almost like that EQ mechanic. Oh, what was it called, man? It's almost like Terror Zones in Diablo 2, but Terror Zones in Diablo 2 are, yeah, it's almost exactly like Terror Zones in Diablo 2, but also there's a mechanic in EQ that was like this also. These overworld events, like where, it's almost like Terror Zones in Diablo 2.
special shards they can take to go and use to purchase these big rewards are available at these caches that are found littered throughout Helltide areas.
The sky darkens and the rivers run red, meteors fall from the sky, and the monsters get harder. We really want to create new experiences for the players. There's one I really like called Whispers of the Dead, which you get from the Tree of Whispers. The Tree of Whispers is grim and a little gruesome, but it's also something mystically haunting and kind of beautiful.
Actually, you want to know what this mechanic reminds me of? It's almost like Terror Zones. Did anyone play the loot-and shooter called Defiance? It was based off of the TV show. That's what this reminds me of exactly, right? Because Terror Zones in Diablo 2, they don't really add additional stuff. It's almost like the Defiance area stuff, like where like the map would cover and darken, you'd go there and you'd complete the objectives, you eradicate the mobs, and then you would get a chest at the end and stuff.
We really want to create new experiences for the players. There's one I really like called Whispers of the Dead, which you get from the Tree of Whispers. The Tree of Whispers is grim and a little gruesome, but it's also something mystically haunting and kind of beautiful.
The tree has a little bit of a grudge against our players, and it would like for them to go serve its needs. So you're going to go serve these bounties, gather different rewards. So you're going to go serve these.
I was trying to look at what that achievement was. Whisper Silent the Festering Burrow +1. So you got experience in gold.
So you're going to go serve these bounties, gather different rewards, different items, and bring them back to the tree in hopes that it can exchange you something really meaningful.
Maybe you're going to go to the Fractured Peaks and take out some werewolves that are rampaging in a town. They're contained activities that you can do alone or in a group. We really wanted to create variety for people to be able to spend time where they wanted to in the world. It's very cool the way it's been put together, and I can't wait for people to see it, to be honest.
So we didn't really learn something new here, really. They actually did show us menu for the first time. They did show some new Tree of Whispers art. But we already knew that Tree of Whispers were essentially Diablo 3 bounties with more stuff. We already knew that. We already knew the Tree of Whispers was Diablo 3 bounties, but enhanced and adjusted, and they added some new features. So instead of just getting like your bounty bag, it looks like you end up getting this little reward options menu, and you can get one-handed weapons, you get boots, or you can be gauntlets. I don't know if the gear from this is enhanced. Can you get like higher tiers of gear? Can you get like ancestral sacred stuff? Can you get like higher chance of getting uniques? Or do they just give you like magic and rare items? Yeah, I wonder if this is a better way to like focus farm a specific slot in addition to the Purveyor of Curiosities. So yeah, you actually get to pick your reward and just getting instead of just getting a random baggie at the end.
Peeks and take out some werewolves that are rampaging in a town. Activities that you can do alone or in a group. We really wanted to create variety for people to be able to spend time where they wanted to in the world. It's very cool the way it's been put together, and I can't wait for people to see it, to be honest.
The Fields of Hatred, which is this is supposed to be the PvP/PvE zone, right, in Diablo 4. And if you played the beta, right, the little red dust is that would be a currency where you get from this area.
In Diablo 4, we have a focus on the world of Sanctuary, and there are parts of that world that we call the Fields of Hatred, where Lilith's presence in Sanctuary has begun to seep through and manifest these poisonous areas throughout the world. When players go to these regions, they get to engage in player versus player conflict.
These offer opportunities for the player to collect shards, but there is a little bit of a catch. In order to get these shards back to town, you'll need to purify them. Other players will definitely know that you're attempting to purify your shards, so you'd better be prepared to fight if you're going to be playing any PvP, and be prepared that you might lose some stuff in the meantime.
Once they've got the purified shards, they can take these, go back to nearby towns to sell them, and then use that to buy a whole bunch of like interesting cosmetic items and rewards.
It's a place.
Basically, the Purveyor of Curiosity. You want to know what vibes I get from PvP stuff in Diablo 4? Dark Zone in the Division. That's what it really feels like, right? You electively go into this PvP area, you have to flag for PvP, there's some PvE stuff, there's people to fight against, you get currency. If you wanna get that currency out, you quote unquote have to extract it, but you don't really extract it in Diablo 4, you go and purify it. Then you get this vendor and you get materials. Yeah, this like really reminds me of Division Dark Zone experience. Look at this gear. 2 sockets. They got a rare item. Look at that attack power. This is a pretty juiced up character. 4,500 attack power. 2,800 armor, 3,000 life. You even get to get people's ears. So confirmation that you can actually do ear collecting in Diablo 4, just like Diablo 2.
It's a place for people who really love PvP and want to still get loot and still increase their character's power. If that's the way they want to play, they can.
Launch is just the beginning. One of the things we're really focused on is creating a living, breathing set of updates for players to engage with after the game has gone live.
It's really just going to be a way to keep coming back and experiencing more Diablo 4 in fresh ways.
We're really eager to hear all of your experiences and just enjoy the entire story with you all.
That's another world boss. We haven't seen that yet. Cool.
We're really eager to hear all of your experiences and just enjoy the entire story with you all.
It's like a bone. It's a bone corpse skeleton guy. He actually looks really cool. And look, you're in the bone zone. You probably don't want to stand in that slam. That would probably actually one-shot you. So that's the same place at the Shava. Well, yeah, I think the world bosses spawn in like the little like safe zones, right? So you don't randomly just run into them and die. I don't know if this is how it's gonna work, but probably each region, right? There's like what, 5 or 6 regions? Each region's gonna have like a zone where a world boss could spawn and you go to it. Yeah, it's probably so like people that are just minding their own business doing overworld stuff, leveling, just don't randomly get one shot by a world boss, right? What did we learn from this video? Not a lot. We did not learn a lot of new stuff at all from the video. We did learn some minor details, but we did not learn that much, right? There was like the selection menu for the whispers. We learned that you could get like ears. They showed like a little new world boss thing. The Druid Paragon board should have plus 17 damage. We saw like the +5 main stat on the Paragon board, which I already knew of, +7 for the magic tiles. Yeah, we saw some of the respec costs, how it like enhances over time. That's pretty much it.